voted for Biden in 2020. I have never liked him. And when I first heard that he was going to be the Democratic candidate, I said that I wasn't going to vote in 2020, but I felt like it was important, and I felt like he was the lesser of two evils. And I still feel that. But after today, I cannot imagine voting for him in 2024.
We will not vote in 2024.
This message is for Joe Biden. You've already lost. You're not going to win. You're not going to win. My generation is going to make sure that doesn't happen.
If the Democratic Party is not seeing these numbers and are still acting delusional, they cannot complain.
Meanwhile,
the new poll out today from Morning Consult is spelling some trouble potentially for President Biden's re-election efforts. The poll of 7 key swing states includes Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, really the ones that experts are watching. And it finds that President Biden trails former President Trump in 5 of those states. You see the numbers there. He is down 4 in Arizona, for example, down 5 in Georgia, tied in Michigan, up by 3 in Nevada, so on and so forth. You can see the 7 states that matter there. All right, so we're talking about Democrats and Republicans, but here's what caught my attention, Bob. Independents. It surveyed 1,300 independents. Donald Trump plus 10 with a third-party candidate against Joe Biden. Head-to-head, Donald Trump plus 8. Those are independents, Bob.
Yeah, Blake, I mean, President Biden became President Biden because he won independents in 2020. But then even a year later, the Democrats started to lose independents. They lost the Virginia governor's race. Listen, you know, a year before his reelection, President Obama called himself the underdog, and he was. President Biden right now is an underdog for reelection. He is a slight underdog. This is a toss-up race. But those numbers, coupled with the numbers on Bidenomics, are not good. And if he doesn't improve them, he's going to have a tough time.
All right, guys. So we got to talk about the polls because the polls just continue to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse for Joe Biden. Okay, because there are polls that are showing that if the election was held today, regardless of whether or not RFK is in the race or not, Trump would win. Okay, if you guys noticed in the first clip I just played, Trump is dominating even in the swing states, right? And that's what the election really comes down to. It comes down to the swing states, okay? It comes down to those states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, Georgia, etc. States that could flip blue or red. And in these states, again, Trump is dominating across the board, not just at the national level, which is the polls that most people pay attention to, but the swing state polls, the polls that actually really matter more than the national polls, even Trump is dominating there, right? Even as you do have some concern about RFK and whether or not he would take away votes from Trump. Now, there was a poll that came out that showed that that would be the case, that RFK would hurt Trump more than Biden. But from what I've seen, actually, most polls are showing that RFK would hurt Biden more than Trump. Like, for example, if you look at this poll right here, you have Trump without RFK in the race beating Biden by +4. And then if you put RFK in the race, RFK gets 22% of the vote and Trump wins +6. Okay, so he actually expands his lead. Now, if you throw Cornel West in there, who's also running as an independent, Trump lead expands even more, +7, which is probably outside of the margin of error. And again, this is something, a pattern that you're starting to see more and more when these polls come out. Like, for example, even this poll right here, that shows Biden up +2 over Trump. But if you throw RFK in the race, RFK gets 13%, and then Trump wins +2. Again, this is not the narrative here that's being pushed by the mainstream liberal media, who is trying to convince people that somehow RFK, the guy that supports reparations, okay, he's a far leftist on a lot of issues, and people are going to learn that here pretty quickly once they actually start to really look into him, is somehow, some way going to take away votes from Trump. More votes away from Trump than Biden. I just don't see that being the case. In fact, the woke revolutionaries are actually melting down because Biden may have trouble getting people to turn out and vote for him at all. And again, this is causing a panic among the Biden influencers on social media because Biden voters are coming out here and saying, we don't want to vote for him in 2024. And again, this is sending a panic signal to the Biden influencers online, and they're trying desperately to get people to go out and to vote for their own destruction and demise by voting for Biden. Take a look.
Okay, I need all my creators to come to the front. I want y'all to listen to this. Hold on.
I voted for Biden in 2020. I have never liked him. And when I first heard that he was going to be the Democratic candidate, I said that I wasn't going to vote in 2020, but I felt like it was important, and I felt like he was the lesser of two evils. And I still feel that. But after today, I cannot imagine voting for him in 2024.
We will not vote in 2024.
This message is for Joe Biden. You've already lost. You're not going to win. You're not going to win. My generation is going to make sure that doesn't happen.
If the Democratic Party is not seeing these numbers and are still acting delusional, they cannot complain when they... Now, see, the problem with every single one of these creators and what they are pushing is the fact that they are telling their followers to do not vote, that they're not going to vote because they don't want to vote for Biden and da-da-da. And I get that. I get it. But what you are pushing is even more dangerous. Go look up, hit that search bar and type in Project 2025. Go educate yourself before you get on this damn app and start preaching about how you're not going to vote in this upcoming election, because you not voting is even worse. You understand? You are pushing a rhetoric that is dangerous. That is dangerous. Because if you decide to withhold your right to vote, and even if you just don't agree with Biden, go look up Project 2025. Because I guarantee you, as a woman, as a black woman, as a minority, as someone who is in an interracial relationship, as someone who is a small business owner, as someone in the middle class, lower class, anybody, if you do not understand what Project 2025 is, and the way a lot of these Republicans are pushing their agenda, and they have laid it out for you as plain as day in black and white of what they are planning on doing. If they are able to win over our government, have a Republican president, have a Republican dominant Congress and House, like, you need to go educate yourself. Stop getting on this app, running your mouth because you feel some type of way right now with everything that's going on with this Israel and Palestine. And I get it. I feel it too. But stop telling your followers and all of these young people to not go vote. Because if you don't get your ass up and go to these polls next year, guess who will? Every right-wing nut that supports the Trump, that ideology, that supports Project 2025, because they know you're not going to go do it.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? So you have a bunch of Biden voters coming out and saying, I'm not voting for him anymore, right? I'm not going to vote for him anymore, okay? Because the economy's not great. They probably don't like the fact that Biden is backing Israel right now in this conflict with, the Palestinians. There's nothing really going on in this country to write home about Biden, anything good at all. So again, they're saying, look, well, I don't want to vote for the guy. Okay. And, you do have the Biden influencers. They're panicking, right? They're panicking and saying, well, you guys don't understand. The Republicans are so much worse, right? Project 2025. Okay. Which again, they should fearmonger about, because Project 2025 is essentially an agenda, that is being pushed by conservative scholars and think tanks. They're all coming together. They're putting their differences aside and saying, look, we need to demolish the administrative state on day one. And this is our plan to do it. Here are all the people we're going to put in place to be in the positions of power that we need in order to actually deconstruct the deep state. Now, again, has Trump officially endorsed this plan as his? No, but there are a lot of Trump people that are involved with it. And yeah, they should be afraid, right? They should be very afraid of the Project 2025 agenda, because it will tear down the deep state. And yeah, they're already fear-mongering about it. So you're going to hear a lot about Project 2025 and why you shouldn't vote for Republicans, right? But Project 2025 is the reason why you should vote for Republicans, because deconstructing the administrative state has to be at the top of the agenda for the next administration, right? The next conservative administration. Now, with that being said, again, the Biden influencers are panicking about voter turnout. Why are they panicking about voter turnout? It's because, like I told you guys, when voter turnout is low, Republicans win. And if you don't believe me, look what happened in Louisiana. We covered this before when it happened. A conservative governor basically flipped that state red, okay, the governor's seat, because nobody showed up to vote. Take a look.
Whether only a third of you out there registered to vote decided to actually vote on Election Day. Talking about big time races, the governor, other statewide races on the ballot. Capitol correspondent Chris Rosado breaks down the numbers and sees just how bad it was.
While gubernatorial elections have the potential to bring out at least 50% of voters to the polls, this one was nowhere close. Louisiana has roughly 3 million registered voters and only 36% showed up on Saturday, paving the way for Republican Jeff Landry to win the governor's race without a runoff. This election saw the lowest voter turnout in a decade, following closely behind the 2011 gubernatorial election, where Bobby Jindal, who faced no serious competition, sailed to victory and won re-election. Though Democrat Sean Wilson got the most votes here in East Baton Rouge Parish, less than 50% of the voters here showed up. Democrat Congressman Troy Carter spoke about the low turnout at Sean Wilson's watch party Saturday evening.
Well, you know, today was a bit of an anomaly. We have a Saints game in Texas. We have LSU, we have Grambling, we have Southern. There's a lot that people have to choose from, and unfortunately, it appears that because the turnout has been so low, people chose to go to some of the sporting events.
While low turnout was anticipated given the LSU-Auburn game, Southern's homecoming, and the Saints game, folks were still stunned to see Jeff Landry win the race outright.
For whatever reason, Louisiana voters were not energized. We voted just over 35%. Which means that we have elected a governor for potentially 8 years, at least 4 years, and fewer than 1 out of 5 eligible voters cast ballots for him.
While the numbers in the primary were nothing to write home about, candidates and political pundits hope the general election will have a better outcome on November 18th.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Exactly what I've been telling you guys for the longest time now, which is that Democrats push people to vote because they want stupid people to vote, right? And stupid people vote based off emotions and identity politics, which is what Democrats specialize in, right? Smart people are going to vote regardless of that, okay? And they're probably not going to vote Democrat, right? So again, when you have a situation where only smart people, people who actually are informed about what's going on, they go out and they vote, right? They're voting in a non-emotional way. Yeah, you see Republicans win in a landslide, right? I'm just saying. I'm just keeping it 100 with you. That the Louisiana election tells you everything you need to know, right? It proves my point. But again, what happens is that when you have people that are motivated to go vote based off stupid things like, you know, hatred of Trump and, you know, racism and George Floyd and all the other bullshit that Democrats get people to go out and vote based off of, guess what? What you have a bunch of idiots that shouldn't be voting in the first place going out and voting Democrat, and then, you know, voting to destroy the country. Okay? So again, you have a situation where people are not motivated to vote, and you're seeing that show up across the board, and that is the biggest threat to the Biden administration, is people just not showing up to vote. People saying, hey, I'm going to sit out because I don't have a real reason to vote for Joe Biden. And I don't think that Orange Man Bad is going to be the reason why people show up to vote. Now, some people will show up to vote because Orange Man Bad, right? But I think given the state of the economy, given the state of the country, people are not seeing how Biden is so much of an improvement over Trump, which he's not an improvement over Trump at all. I mean, we know that Trump was drastically better than Biden. But I'm saying even the deranged people, okay, who don't see it that way, who see Biden as, you know, better than Trump, they may not see Biden as that much of an upgrade over Trump, to the point where they say, well, you know what, we're just going to sit out, right? Because again, in their mind, everybody knows that Biden is actually worse than Trump, way worse than Trump, okay? And again, they don't want to vote for Trump, but they also don't want to vote for Biden. So they're just gonna be like, I'm going to sit out, or I'm going to vote for RFK, right? And that is, I think, what is going to happen, right? I think that the way things are going, Democrats going to have a hard time getting anybody to show up and to vote for them because, again, Biden is not necessarily an expiring figure, and he's done a terrible job running the country. And again, you're starting to see these signs pop up more and more and more and more and more. So, like I said, man, there's a lot of panic on the liberal left in regards to their guy Biden because he ain't motivating anybody to vote for him. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.